WWE Money in the Bank is this coming Sunday, and we do a big preview for the upcoming pay-per-view. Also talking about my favorite Money in the Bank matches, my favorite non-Money in the Bank matches that happen at Money in the Bank, as well as a SmackDown preview, because I will be watching SmackDown this week, a preview for tomorrow's AEW Fyter Fest Night 1, the official announcement of the G1 Climax 31 and who I think will be a part of it, and so much more discussed here on the 56th edition of the Chill Spill Podcast. The S is silent, by the way. Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Tyler Mask, aka Suplex. That's SOOPLEX on TikTok. Also, quick little announcement, not a good one, but I actually got a 7-day long ban on TikTok back on Sunday, so I'm technically not allowed to post to the website. However, I am posting some miscellaneous content on my secondary TikTok channel that's called This Ain't Water. That's at DISAINTWATER. This Ain't Water. That is my name over there. I'm just posting some content until my ban is lifted. I might still post after the ban is lifted, but just to occupy my time, get my creative juices flowing, because I still like TikTok. But, you know, not gonna lie, I posted something that I knew was a bit risky and then ended up with that. So I'm like, you know what? Can't blame anybody but myself. I'm just gonna keep it pushing and then be very, very mindful going forward, because I'm pretty sure after this one, if I get another whatever, they could possibly ban my account forever, which I'm not trying to do. So I'm heeding with caution going forward. Anyway, that's at Suplex, currently at This Ain't Water. Also, twitch.tv/SOOPLEXX. I'm not banned there. AKA Tyler-kun Williams, AKA the one who lived. And guys, welcome back to the 56th edition of the Chill Spill Podcast, and that is Pill, spelled with an S, but it's silent, much like Black Widow is after the movie Black Widow, because she's actually dead. I have not seen the movie Black Widow yet, but I still don't understand why we needed this movie. Listen, I understand they wanted to add more character depth to the Black Widow character, as she was one of the most useless characters in the entire Avengers. I get that. But y'all couldn't have made this movie, like, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago? Before Infinity War happened? Or maybe 2 years ago? You know? Before Endgame happened when she died? It's not a spoiler. By this point, y'all should know that she died. Anyway, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm planning to see it tomorrow with my friend. I just think it's dumb that they put this movie out literally 2 years after Endgame, when we know she's gonna die. Now I can say one thing: Florence Pugh, my boy, yo, her character Yelena, whatever her name is. Listen, I always thought she was fine as hell ever since Fighting With My Family, and then she was in Midsommar. She was fine as hell. She's even fine as hell in this movie too. Like, if she wants to be in the new Black Widow, she alive. She's alive. I'm just saying, she alive, right? I'll see how the movie goes. I hear her character's really funny, so we shall see. But yeah, that is the intro to this podcast. If you guys have seen the movie Black Widow, comment down below. Let me know how it was, so that way I have some pre-opinions going into it. Of course, I'm not going to let it cloud how I feel about the movie prior, but just get some secondhand opinions going into it. But guys, Money in the Bank is this coming Sunday. I'm actually kind of excited because it's a pretty big card. Like, for a show with only 6 matches, this is a pretty, I won't want to say it's a loaded show, because it's not like the best card I've ever seen from WWE, but like going into a show with crowds coming back, like it's a nice experience. It's a cool card. I'm actually looking forward to this show this coming Sunday, and once again, I will be live this Sunday for Money in the Bank. This is going to be the first time I've been live for a WWE pay-per-view, I think, since Royal Rumble. Yeah, I think I haven't been live for a WWE pay-per-view since the Royal Rumble, so that was back in January. 7 months we're going on right now. Jesus Christ. So yeah, make sure y'all tune up for that. I am planning to go live for Impact Slammiversary. I may not be getting here on time for it, because I do get off like once this pay-per-view starts. I might try to get off a bit earlier, but you know, that's they want to be nice. But that is the plan. We have 2 live streams coming up this weekend, Saturday Slammiversary, Sunday Money in the Bank. Be tuned in for all of it. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. It's going to be a blast. But that all being said, let's get into the podcast. We're going to start off here with some NXT UK because it is official. It was announced on this episode of NXT UK. And by this, I mean last week's episode of NXT UK. That in 1 week, next week on the July 22nd edition of NXT UK, the NXT UK champion of then, at that time, of that day, 838 days, Volta, will be defending his NXT UK championship against Ilja Dragunov. Now, if you guys are aware, they had a match last year, October 28th. It is rated as one of the greatest matches of the year. In my opinion, it is, I would say, third greatest match of the year. Right behind Naito and Okada, and right behind Pac and Kenny Omega. Also, I guess, not Pac Kenny Omega. The Omega Page and Young Bucks match. The Pac Omega match, I think, is like right before that one. I have a whole top 50 list. Go watch that video if you want to know what my, top 50 matches 2020 were. But that match is top 3 of the year. They are absolutely excellent wrestlers, both of them, especially Volta. They're going to have another amazing match. Now, this one should not be the same format as the last match. The last match is really telling the tale of Ilja Dragunov. How much pain can he take? Because Ilja got his ass beat by Volta for 80% of that match, and then he lost. I don't want to compare it to like John Cena versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2014 because it wasn't that magnitude of a beatdown, but it was something kind of similar to it. And watching it is always an experience. I enjoy showing that to non-wrestling fans, just getting their reactions. I've seen about 4 to 5 of their matches. Like, leading up to this match, I knew who Ilja was. I knew who he was back in 2018. And I already had seen like 3 different Ilja Volta matches. They have great chemistry. Ilja's an amazing wrestler. Here's how I see it, though. Volta has ran through the roster already. Volta's been NXT UK champion for 2 full years. And next year will make 3 years if he goes that long. I don't think he's going 3 years, but who knows? He could. At this point, he might as well as, right? He might as well. Volta has already ran through the roster, virtually. He's beaten some names on NXT. Now, he hasn't beaten every name on NXT. I know he's beaten Adam Cole. I know he's beaten Tommaso Ciampa. He's beaten Kushida. He's beaten some names on NXT, but he hasn't beaten every name. Who is left realistically to beat Volta outside of people he hasn't already faced? Is there anybody built up properly to beat Volta? I don't feel like there is. And with Ilja Dragunov, the story coming out of that match, the story going into the match, really, how much pain can he endure? He took a hell of a beating. I feel after that match, you come back for a part 2, Ilja should win. I think Ilja is going to be the one to beat Volta. If Ilja doesn't beat Volta, I'm going to be dumbfounded as to who that person's going to be. I mean, at this point, Volta's been champion for so long, I don't know if I'm really going to be pissed about it because, number one, I don't watch NXT UK enough to be mad about it. And number 2, excellent wrestler. And if you want to have somebody be like, your Bruno Sammartino, have a championship reign of like 5 years, Volta's probably your guy. But that's where I get back to my point. They really don't have many other people left for Volta to face. He's beating everybody on NXT UK. So unless you're moving him to NXT, which I don't see that happening. It could, but I don't see it happening. I don't know who else you're propositioning in that point. Unless you're going to send like a Finn Balor to NXT. Like, they're going to have to start sending people to NXT UK very soon. If Volta retains. Ilja Dragunov is one of the best wrestlers they have under contract, NXT UK, NXT, WWE, or in general. He is one of the very best. If it's not going to be Ilja, I would say the second best probably would be Tyler Bate. But Tyler Bate's already been a champion, so... And I don't know if you really want to do that. It's a story of Tyler Bate because he had that amazing match with Volta before. Anyway, there's like 2 options of people who have lost to Volta already. Everybody else, you might have to dig to NXT for. So, I don't know who else they're going to, so I'm going to go with Ilja. I just don't see who else it's going to be if it's not Ilja. Y'all let me know in the comments down below. If it's not Ilja, then who? Then who? That's the question I have for you guys. Let's talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling briefly. Now, I did not check out the Summer Circle Tour because y'all know I don't give a shit about New Japan anymore. I really just don't fucking care about New Japan. However, there is something that I do have interest in New Japan, and that is their annual G1 Climax tournament. They did officially announce G1 Climax 31 is coming up starting September 18th, or about 2 months out, and then it will be concluding on October 21st, month-long tournament. As you guys know, the G1 Climax is a round-robin tournament featuring 20 men, 10 men to each block. They face off one by one, leading up to the finals of each block, and then the finals of each block face off. Winner challenges the heavyweight champion of Wrestle Kingdom. This year's G1 Climax might be the most interesting G1 Climax since I started watching New Japan. And I say that because of who the champion is right now. Shingo Takagi. Somebody who, honestly and truly, I don't think would be in his spot right now if Ospreay never got hurt. I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys. I love Shingo to death, but I don't know if... I'm not saying he would have never won it. I'm not going to go that far. I don't know if he would have won it this soon if Will Ospreay didn't get hurt. I don't think he would have won it this soon. But he is the world champion right now. Shingo Takagi is like a breath of fresh air to that New Japan heavyweight scene. Not the scene in general, but the title scene. Because when you think of IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, who's the first thing you think of? Okay, you're going to say Okada. I would say Okada too. Even though I don't like him like that, I would say Okada too. Who's the second thing you think of? Okay, you're going to say probably Tanahashi, right? After Tanahashi, who's next? Probably Tetsuya Naito. After that, who's next? Maybe Jay White. After that, who else you going to say? Yeah, well, you know, you already picked the four, so I guess you might have to say somebody like a... Nah, you might want to go a little bit deep there. You might want to go with somebody like a... Who else you going to think about, really? Who else you really gonna think about? Because there's really not too many other guys outside of the four people I just named who win championships. I mean, you could say Kota Ibushi, of course, because he was the former champion. But before Ibushi, it was Okada, Tanahashi, and Naito. Then Jay White got added to the mix in 2018. Boom. All right, then Ibushi. Boom. Now Will Ospreay. Boom. All right, you got 6 guys. Cool, that's a core 6 people. Now, here's the thing, though. Tanahashi is not really contending for the heavyweight championship anymore. I don't see him contending for it anymore at this point. Okada, right now he's in this limbo period where he's not contending for it, but you know at any point he will likely win it. Which hasn't been the case for a year, which I'm happy about, but still, you know he could contend and win it. It's realistic. So Okada's still in it. Tanahashi's out. Naito, I'm going to say he's written off just like Tanahashi is. Like, not even that he's old or anything. But he already had his story was told. He had his moment. It's done and over. And Naito's done. So he's out with Tanahashi. So that leaves you Okada. That leaves you Jay White. That leaves you Will Ospreay. And then Ibushi since he's only been a one-time champion. So that's 4 guys really in the heavyweight championship picture. Then you add in Shingo. The thing is with the guys like Okada and Tanahashi is that they ran through the roster already. They're like the Volta of New Japan. They ran through the roster. All the matches you're getting with Okada, Tanahashi, they have happened 5, 7, 2, 3, even last year. Nothing's new about their matches. Just the formatting of the match. And the way it's paced. And the amount of stars Dave Meltzer gets it. That's the only difference between these matches nowadays. With Shingo Takagi, because he's only been a heavyweight for 2 years, there are so many people he has yet to feud with, or like so little bit of repeat matches he's had that everything feels fresh. I mean, we're getting Shingo Takagi versus Kota Ibushi at Wrestle Grand Slam this month, which I'll preview in the next episode of the Chill Spill podcast. But that still feels like a fresh match because at the end of the day, there's only been one match between the two at G1 Climax 30. So it still feels pretty fresh. Okada and Shingo, they've had 3 matches, so it's not as fresh, but it's not overdone just yet. Will Ospreay and Shingo is not fresh, but not particularly overdone. Like Shingo and Okada, they've had 2 matches. Shingo and Jay White's been only 1 match. Shingo and Tanahashi's been only 1 match. That's your main event scene right there. Not too many repeats. Tetsuya Naito and Shingo Takagi, 1 match 2 years ago. In my opinion, still one of the greatest matches of either men's career. Nobody wants to talk about it. They can have a rematch any day of the week and I'll buy into it. But what I'm going to do for you guys here is I'm going to preview what I think will be the lineup for G1 Climax 31. This is what I predict. Now, within the next few weeks, maybe even August, I would say, is when you should expect they're going to announce the participants for G1 Climax and maybe even the schedule. But so far, we only have dates. I'm going to say that we have Shingo Takagi, obviously, because they always have to have the world champion in there. Shingo, you have Jay White as the Never champion entering in. Sonata as the IWGP Tag Team Champion. Yes, Sonata and Tetsuya Naito are now your new IWGP Tag Team Champions. Once again, new breath of fresh air to the tag division, so that's good. We'll see how many repeat Tetsuya Naito Sonata versus Dangerous Tekker matches we're going to get in the next, 8 months. Yoshihashi, Ishii, and Goto, never 6 guys. They're going to be in the tournament, obviously. You got to have your Ishii and Goto matches in there. Otherwise, it's not a G1 Climax. Toriano, it's not a G1 without Toriano. Jeff Cobb, I'm going to say David Finlay is going to be one of the newer approaches for that tournament. Every single year, you have at least 1 or 2 guys who are like newcomers, never been in a tournament. Considering that David Finlay made it to the semifinals of this year's New Japan Cup, and he's contending for the Never Championship against Jay White in Los Angeles next month, I would say it's time. It's time to put David Finlay in the G1 Climax. Now, everybody's going to laugh and say there's not a chance he's going to win, but it's not the point. He gets that experience. You get some new matches in there with David Finlay. G1 Climax, we already know the ultimate goal is that one person's going to win. One person will win. So, for the one person that wins, 90 other guys, guess what? They're a bunch of losers. But those losers are going to have some great matches, which means that those guys who are not winning the tournament, you could fuck around and throw some other guys in that never been in that tournament, which New Japan doesn't like to fucking do for some reason. But David Finlay is a new name. You could throw in there a lot of good matches with David Finlay. So I would say David Finlay's a new name. You'd have Evil in there. Wait, back it up. Evil. Evil's in there. He's going to suck because, Evil now sucks. The Great Okan. Not particularly my number one pick to be in a tournament as a newcomer, but I could definitely see it. It's either him or Aaron Henare, but I'm going to put my money on the Great Okan because they love their Great Okan and Tetsuya Naito and Tanahashi matches. Speaking of the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi is in the tournament, I would say. Juice Robinson. Imagine Juice and David Finlay on the same block. Ooh. You have Kazuchika Okada, because you can't not have a G1 without Okada's dangerous, territory. Kenta, Kota Ibushi, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, and Zack Sabre Jr. Those are my 20 guys. I would add in one more person, though. Now, not make it 21, but let's say, I don't know, Joe Schmo, fucking Kenta gets hurt. He can't be in a tournament, right? Who would I sub in the tournament, you ask? Well, I personally would sub in a junior. And I'll pick one of 2 juniors. If they want to be ballsy, do 2. But I know New Japan isn't ballsy enough to even do 1. So this is just me fantasy booking here. But I would do one of 2 juniors. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, El Desperado. Or Hiromu Takahashi. You're probably asking, Tyler, why 2 juniors in the G1 Climax? Well, you see, New Japan, 1 year ago, had a tournament that was a never tournament. New Japan Cup, which had juniors in the tournament. And for about a solid few months, they had to treat the junior heavyweights as if they were on equal level as the heavyweights. And ever since then, when those guys came back, they said fuck the juniors and put them right back in their division. A guy like Hiromu Takahashi got absolutely screwed over by the pandemic. He was supposed to get a match against Tetsuya Naito last March. We never got it. This is their chance to finally give us the Tanahashi and a Takahashi match. Takahashi. That'd be great. The Takahashi. Oh my god, I can't speak. Leave me alone. The Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito match that we were promised last year by putting him in the G1 Climax tournament. He's not gonna win. No, he's not gonna win. Come on now, guys. Don't even go there. He's not gonna win. Despy would win the tournament. But just to have them in there and have great matches, that's a whole new crop of matches you got in there with Despy and Hiromu. I mean, obviously, you could put him in there with Ishii, who they both have matches with. You could put him in there with Okada, who Takahashi's had a match with in New Japan Cup. So it's not entirely fresh for every single opponent, but you get the point. That's a new blood. And then on top of that, it kind of uplifts the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Why? Because the junior heavyweight champion's in the tournament. You want to know what happened last time the junior heavyweight champion was in the tournament? They got basically called up to the heavyweight division about a year later. You want to know who that guy's name was? Will Ospreay. Why is Will Ospreay so special? I don't see why Will Ospreay should be so damn special. You got your world champion in there. You got the never champion in there. You got both tag champions in there, the 6 and the IWGP. Why not the junior heavyweight champion? Why can't he be in the tournament? Why does it just got to be Will Ospreay? So I'm lobbying for either Despy or Hiromu. That's who I'm lobbying for. And that's how I would see this G1 shaping up. Now you're probably asking, oh, you don't see I don't see Jon Moxley being in the tournament. I don't. Would I want him to? Personally, yes. Do I see it? No. Jon Moxley has not been seen in New Japan Pro Wrestling since last February. And it's probably going to stay like that. It's probably going to stay like that. But let's talk about All Elite Wrestling since we're on the topic of Jonathan Moxley. AEW All Out is coming up September the 1st from the Now Arena in Chicago, Illinois. And AEW sold out at All Out. How about that? Clap it up for AEW. Them selling out arena, I would not have never guessed. Not gonna lie to you guys. But July 8th is when tickets went on sale. And nearly all the seats for the pre-sale tickets on July 8th were sold out. So then July 9th came around, and they had to sell the rest of the regular tickets remaining, and they virtually sold out too. So they're now still doing sellouts day of. 2 days later, they're still selling out shows. They're not struggling just yet. Obviously, you could say, oh, it's the honeymoon period, but they're still doing fine for a new company. The question is, do they run bigger shows? I mean, the Now Arena, which I believe is the former Sears Center, the Now Arena, they've ran basically 3 years in a row, because you could count All In, then All Out 2019, All Out 2020 doesn't count, so now All Out 2021. Is it time for them to run a bigger arena in Chicago? I think next year they come back because for whatever reason they love Chicago. That's their home base, basically. Not Jacksonville, it's Chicago. I guarantee you, if Chicago had the same laws that Florida had when COVID started, they would have migrated to Chicago in a jiffy. Probably not because TK's from Jacksonville, but you get the point. Anyway, I think they definitely should experiment next year with running a big arena in Chicago. Just to see. I mean, we are 1 week away from the release sale tickets for AEW Grand Slam at the Arthur Ashe Arena in Queens, New York City. Which, mind you, let me look this up real quick. Let me just get a quick reminder for you guys. Arthur Ashe Arena. A capacity of 23,000 people can fit into the Arthur Ashe Arena. And it's also an open venue arena too. But they want it to be open venue. It is an open venue. So that is a really big venue. Do I think they're going to sell out of Arthur Ashe Arena? New York City is a very, very big wrestling town. But if you're in the East Coast, I could say, oh, pretty much, yeah. You know what? I'm going to say they will. Now, how fast is the question? But I think they will sell out. I think they will sell out. So if they sell out Arthur Ashe Arena, that is the ultimate test. I think Grand Slam for AEW is the ultimate test. Because if they could sell out of a 20,000 seat arena, then by God, they should be running arenas going forward. Maybe not every goddamn show. I'm not going to go that far. But for at least the bigger, let's say Double or Nothing next year in in Vegas. You know, they ran MGM Grand for 2019. What is the biggest arena in Las Vegas? Let's see. Just out of curiosity. The biggest stadium in Las Vegas. Oh, the Allegiant Stadium. Duh. That's the stadium that SummerSlam's running in. I mean, who's to say they can't run SummerSlam? They can't run Allegiant Stadium next year. Who's to say? I think this is the ultimate test. If they can't sell out, then, you know, stick to your MGM Grand for a bit and try again in 2023. But I think this should be, like I said, a real, test to see if they're ready to run bigger arenas going forward. I want you guys to comment down below right now. Do you guys think that AEW Grand Slam will sell out? And if so, how fast? Comment down below while I take a sip of this water real quick. Makes you guys hydrated. It's really hot in the East Coast. Anyway, AEW Fyter Fest Week 1 is coming up tomorrow. I will sadly not be live for the show because, as you guys know, I've been out with an injury for the last 2 weeks, and I am scheduled to go back to work starting tomorrow. Normally I'm off on Wednesdays, but scheduled to come back to work on Wednesday, so I'm not going to make a hoof about it. So I will not be home in enough time to catch this show. However, I do plan to get out a separate review for AEW Fyter Fest sometime this week. Cannot guarantee you what day of the week it will be, but I will attempt to get it out sometime this week because I don't know if I will cover it in the next episode of the Chispo podcast because next week's episode is so unique. But we're going to talk about it here, preview this card. On this show, we have Penelope Ford going up against the returning Yuka Sakazaki. I am so excited to see the queen of I'm so excited to see her back in an AEW arena, bro. I'm just saying, Yuka Sakazaki, last we seen her, didn't she have her teeth stomped out by one particular doctor who is currently the AEW Women's World Champion? I mean, if Britt needs some challengers, that's your first one. Just throwing it out there. But Penelope Ford and Yuka Sakazaki should be fun. I mean, I've seen Penelope Ford have a good match here and there. So I'm going to go Yuka Sakazaki get the win here. Then after the match, hops on the microphone, shocks the hell out of the audience, speaks fluent English, calls out Britt Baker, calls her bitch Baker, because in AEW, the B word is a sacred word. Well, not so sacred because everyone says it. It's the key word. You always go for the B word. And if the B word doesn't work, you got to go for the S word. Key words in AEW. Calls her bitch Baker. Britt Baker comes out and accepts the challenge. Yuka turns heel. Boom. Money. No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to happen, but that'd be funny. Anyway, Matt Hardy versus Christian Cage. A lot of you who watch my live streams know I don't give a flying fadoodle about this goddamn storyline from ECW 2010. I don't care. But for the sake of it ending, I'm going to say that Christian Cage beats Matt Hardy. Because move on. Move on. 2010 ended 11 years ago. Hangman Adam Page will be open. It's live mic, bitch. Apparently on that show. It's open mic night. We'll be hearing from him. We saw him in the ring with Kenny Omega last week. The first tease of Omega and Hangman Page having their storyline ongoing. I'm almost certain we're getting a match at All Out this year between Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. It seems like the correct direction to go in finally. Do they finally have Hangman Page say that he wants Kenny Omega? Because that's been the story really for the last few months, is that Hangman Page, in a sense, he wants to be the AEW World Champion, but he doesn't want to beat Kenny Omega to do it. He's still not over Kenny Omega. Like, they broke up. Hangman Page has not gotten over the relationship. Now, Kenny Omega has moved on. But obviously, first time meeting up in a while, feelings start to arise. All of a sudden, Kenny's like, I do miss your curly hair. I do miss those thighs that are now covered up by your tights now. But that's besides the point. And back to what I was saying. When you spend time apart from each other, all of a sudden, you start to miss each other a bit more. So Kenny Omega's like, maybe I do want to challenge Hangman Page, but only if he wants to challenge me. It's like Kenny Omega's not ballsy enough to admit that he wants to challenge Hangman Page. He wants Hangman Page to challenge him. And Hangman Page's not ready. This is a whole love story that we're seeing thrown together here in the form of pro wrestling. Like, how do people not get this? This is a pro wrestling love story being told right in front of your face. If it's anything like Brock Lesnar or Kurt Angle, we might actually see some action here. But I'm going to say we continue it out, probably going into, August. Then he'd finally break down and say he wants Kenny Omega. And then they'll brace in the ring. like the Golden Lovers did a while ago. Brian Cage defends the FTW Championship against Ricky Starks. The FTW Championship is a prop and has been since it came into AEW. Brian Cage has only defended a championship maybe 3 or 4 times. I don't see Ricky Starks winning it. I don't. I think Brian Cage retains. I don't know what's going on here. It's like they're telling this slow burn story with Brian Cage breaking apart from Team Taz. But then at the same time, Team Taz seems a bit like they're in shambles. Like Taz can't keep it together between his guys. I don't know. I was interested at first, but now I'm confused because it feels like it's being stretched out. Like, I'm not saying you need to break them up right now this week, but like, I don't see where the end point by that to be. It just seems like an ongoing thing. Every week we tease it and 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 tease it. And it's been like the last 2 months, I feel like. So, at some point, Brian Cage is going to have to say fuck this shit and leave. But until then, I'm going to say he beats Ricky Starks. Darby Allin versus Ethan Page in a coffin match. So, I hope both men have been vaccinated because coughing on each other sounds dangerous in this climate. But this should be really interesting, considering this is the first time in AEW history we're having a coffin match. I'm going to say that probably Ethan Page wins because Darby Allin is the type of guy that will get buried in a coffin. You know what? I could probably see Ethan Page taking Darby Allin, putting him in that coffin, going to the tippy top of Daily's Place, and tossing the coffin off the goddamn arena. Because that's the type of guy Darby Allin is. I can totally see that. On a realistic note, I think Darby Allin's winning. And then the main event of that show. Jon Moxley defends the IWGP United States Championship against Carl Anderson. I would just like you guys to know that this will tie with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And what do you mean by this will tie with New Japan? Well, you see, Jon Moxley's been the IWGP United States Champion for going on a year and a half. In that year and a half period, he only defended the championship 2 times in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm not talking about NJPW Strong. I'm talking about Japan land, New Japan Pro Wrestling. And here in AEW, this is going to be his second defense against somebody else. He's defended a championship against Yuji Nagata, and now against Carl Anderson. Now, if I'm incorrect here, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he defend a championship against Lance Archer as well? If I'm wrong, correct me. That might be 3. If not, it's definitely 2. I think that's really funny. I think it's really funny. The really funny thing is that I don't think it's entirely impossible for Carl Anderson to win this match. Because remember, Carl Anderson now has ties to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's already set to appear on the next few tapings of NJPW Strong. I think he may have already started. He has a contract with Impact Wrestling. In the contract, he can actually work with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Likely when they start lessening up on borders. He could probably go back to Japan and wrestle for them. It's not impossible. The chances are low, but it's not impossible. If I'm a betting man, though, I'm going to go with Jon Moxley to retain the championship. I'm not a betting man, but even if I wasn't, Jon Moxley retains. SmackDown coming up this week. I do plan to watch. It'll be the first SmackDown in front of a live audience since March of last year. Just wow, man. Just wow. They have a pretty set card so far. Briefly, before I go over this card, I wanted to give a shout out to some NXT babes. The likes of Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox. Saw they made their debut on SmackDown last week. Big ups to the good girls. Big ups to them. They made their debut on SmackDown officially this week. Now remember, back in 2019, when everybody got stuck in Saudi Arabia and they didn't have the whole SmackDown roster available to them, that was November 2019, they had the NXT roster come and invade. And that's when we got Tegan and Shotzi on SmackDown the first time. This is their second time being on SmackDown now. And I saw they got the win over Natalya and Tamina, so hopefully that sets them up for a championship match soon. I don't see them on the card for Money in the Bank. I would like to assume that since they pinned Tamina and Natalya, they should be getting a championship match either this Friday on SmackDown or this coming Sunday. But hey, maybe I'm stupid. I don't watch the product enough. But I just want to bring that up. Toni Storm is coming soon as well, so another one coming in. How will the NXT Women's roster survive? I don't know, child. Maybe they with the other 50 women under contract to that company. Well, 40, because they already released like 10 of them. But let's talk about SmackDown before Money in the Bank. 3 matches official for this show. Big E versus Kevin Owens versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. 4 of the 8 men official for the Money in the Bank ladder match will be in a fatal 4-way match. I'm gonna say Big E gets the win. I've been hearing they've been pushing Big E lately. Maybe he's prime to win Money in the Bank. I'll talk about that in a bit. I'll say Big E. Bianca Belair defends her SmackDown Women's Championship against Carmella. Originally was going to be against Bayley at Money in the Bank. Bayley is out with an ACL injury. She'll be out for 9 months, which really sucks to hear. Hope for a speedy recovery for her. Bianca Belair retains. I don't see her losing to Carmella of all people. And then the main event I'm really actually excited for. You have Roman Reigns and the Usos. Now, I don't know when's the last time they teamed up. I don't remember seeing on Twitter. I don't remember hearing on Facebook. I don't remember in the last God knows how long about hearing the Usos and Roman Reigns team up. This might be the first time in years. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this might be the first time in years they team up as a 6-man tag team. They're going up against a team of Edge, Dominic, and Rey Mysterio. And I'm so excited because way back when, back when I was like a kid, Rey Mysterio and Edge were SmackDown I believe weren't they the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions? I believe Rey Mysterio and Edge were like the first ever Hold on. I gotta look this up. I'm sorry. SmackDown Tag Team Champions 2002. I'm pretty sure Edge and Rey Mysterio were the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Oh, you know what? Never mind. They were in a match with Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit and they lost. Correction. They were almost the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They were almost. Got to catch myself there. But they were in contention. And they were a really good tag team. And it's one of the best tag team matches of all time. Chemistry should still exist between the two. This is just going to be... I can't wait for this match, man. Roman Reigns is a specialist in 6-man tag action. Usos, of tremendous tag team. Jimmy Uso, hopefully he's sober to this show. He should be in rehab, but that's none of my business, I guess. Edge, one of the GOATs. Rey Mysterio, a GOAT. Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, I'm really excited for this match. Let me not shade Dominic. He might be good for all I know. I'm sorry, y'all. I've only seen Dominic wrestle one time. Like, dead ass, I've only seen Dominic wrestle one time. And that was at SummerSlam 2020 against Seth Rollins. Now, if he was in the Royal Rumble this year, then I saw him wrestle twice, but that's it. I don't remember seeing him in another match. Was he at WrestleMania? Did he wrestle WrestleMania? Maybe 3 times? I don't know. It's a blur to me. He might be good. He may not be, but I'll see this Sunday. Anyway, that's my SmackDown preview, and I'm going to say that Edge and the Mysterios get the win over Roman Reigns and the Usos. Now, let's get into some MITB Q&A with your boy. So, Money in the Bank is this coming Sunday, and before I get into my preview for the show, I want to go over what are my top 5 Money in the Bank cash-ins. Because we've had plenty of cash-ins over the last, we're going on 2005. That makes it 16 years of Money in the Bank winners. But only 5 of them are worthy of being in the top 5 category. Number 5, I have Randy Orton cashing in at SummerSlam 2013. He won it in 2013, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and he cashed in on Daniel Bryan after his match with John Cena for the WWE Championship, which is one of John Cena's best matches ever, was against Daniel Bryan that year. Mr. SummerSlam himself, John Cena. Randy Orton cashed in after Triple H turned on Daniel Bryan. It's set up for what was one of the last great storylines in WWE's, I would say, reality era, which was Daniel Bryan versus the Authority. As much as I detested the fucking Authority, they were a great part in Daniel Bryan's character development, and that Randy Orton cash-in was really the catalyst for it. So I feel like he should definitely be in that conversation. I put him at number 5. Number 4, Rob Van Dam cashing in at One Night Stand 2006 against John Cena. He won at WrestleMania 22. He was one of the very first people, if not the first person, to use his Money in the Bank briefcase, not to cash in right away, but announcing his cash-in and having a formal match with John Cena, one of the most toxic yet lively crowds of all time, the ECW One Night Stand 2006 crowd. I have not seen the entire show, but to this day, I still believe that is one of the best RVD matches, one of the rowdiest crowds I've ever seen in my entire life. One of these days, I'll sit down, I'll watch both One Night Stands, but Rob Van Dam, you're number 4. Number 3, Dean Ambrose, Money in the Bank 2016. Now, earlier in the show, Money in the Bank 2016, Dean Ambrose won the briefcase. The main event of that show was Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. What was, in my opinion, a really good, I would even say great match between the two men. One of my favorite spots ever was Roman Reigns going for a spear and Seth Rollins catches him for a pedigree. Like, he literally caught this guy mid-spear and hit a pedigree. It's one of the dopest spots ever, bro. I swear on everything. It's one of the dopest spots ever. Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns to become the new WWE champion. And right after Dean Ambrose cashes in, beats Seth Rollins, and does what many people thought would never happen, and became the WWE champion. Because we could sit here and talk all day about how great the Shield was, and they will go down as one of the greatest factions in pro wrestling history. But many people already knew in their mind, WWE's going to invest in Roman Reigns because he's The Rock's cousin, and they obviously like Seth Rollins, but what about Dean Ambrose? It was always that question of, would Dean Ambrose ever get to be WWE champion? People didn't know, honestly. I didn't know. And it happened. And not only did it happen, he beat a guy who he feuded with for basically a year to do it. He beat Seth Rollins. And that led into Battleground 2016. The illustrious Shield triple threat match. But that's for another video. Number 2, Dolph Ziggler cash again the night after WrestleMania 29. One of the most infamous crowds in pro wrestling history is the New Jersey crowd from WrestleMania 29, after WrestleMania 29, which I believe is like one of the shows that started the whole trend of night of WrestleMania, anything can happen. Because prior to these WrestleManias, crowds were always, hot and heavy, but this crowd, they were everything WWE hates today. They were heel heavy. They booed the fuck out of everything they didn't like, and they let you know it. They chanted everything bullshit. They chanted it was, if you work for WWE, you probably detested this crowd with a burning passion. But if you are a fan, you love the hell out of this crowd because they enjoyed themselves. We need more crowds like, well, maybe not every crowd because that would get exhausting, but we need more crowds like that. And I will never forget this till the day I die. Because Dolph Ziggler won the briefcase in 2011. 2011, he won that briefcase. And he held on to that briefcase for like 10 months. People always wonder, when is he going to cash in? Dolph Ziggler, is he going to cash in it? He never cashed in. This dude held on to that briefcase for his life. He was clutching it like a woman clutches her goddamn pearls when she's getting robbed. Shout out to Batman's mom. Anyway, he was clutching onto this thing for his dear life, and he finally let it go after after Jack Swagger versus Alberto Del Rio for I almost said the SmackDown Women's Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship on the night after WrestleMania. And when his theme song hit, there's not many other crowd reactions outside of the Attitude Era, maybe a few I've heard in the last few years. I don't remember last time a crowd popped very loud than when his music hit and he came walking out and he cashed in And I think he and Alberto had like a good 3-minute skirmish. And then he hit the zigzag and he pinned him and the crowd went insane. It's one of the best cash-ins ever, but not the best. I firmly believe the best cash-in ever goes to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31. It was a tie-up. Not gonna lie, I put Dolph Ziggler in the #1 spot at one point, but then I changed it. Seth Rollins, also similar, held the Money in the Bank briefcase from Money in the Bank all the way up to WrestleMania. About 9-10 months held that championship. And when we got to WrestleMania 31, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, mind you, great match they were having. And then just when things were starting to get hot and heavy, look, Roman Reigns is going to win, you hear bana 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 bana, and then Seth Rollins comes jetting from the back. And the visual of Seth Rollins running down the ramp, did not trip, running down the ramp into the ring, crowd's all dazed, confused, like, wait a minute, can they do this? Can he do this? Because nobody's ever cashed in at WrestleMania. People cashed in the night after. They cashed in pay-per-views before, pay-per-views after. No one's ever cashed in at WrestleMania. So this is a humongous deal. He cashed in, made it a triple threat match, which was, in retrospect, kind of dumb because then you're like, well, you can lose this match and not get pinned, and then you look dumb. But he took that chance, and he won. He pinned Roman Reigns, and he became the new WWE champion, and thus became the long period of Seth Rollins as the top guy, as the top heel. I mean, he was a top heel before this, but still, like, you know, top heel as a champion till he got hurt. But man, that was quite the cash-in, and it was such a great match they had. But that's where I say the top 5 cash-ins were. I have my top 3 favorite Money in the Bank matches. Number 3, the 2020 Money in the Bank ladder match, men and women's being combined into one, being held at the WWE headquarters. I know you're probably wondering, Tyler, that's not a real ladder match. It's a everything else but what you're asking about. Listen, this was fun. It was fun, and at a time when there was a lot of fun going on because of COVID, you had Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, Otis, Baron Corbin, Asuka, Naomi, Shayna, Nia, all these people starting from the ground floor of WWE headquarters and making their way through elevators, level after level, going into the office, all the cameos. Is it a great match? No, but I had a lot of fun watching it. So personally for me, it's one of my top 3 WrestleMania Money in the Bank matches. Well, Money in the Bank matches, not WrestleMania. Number 2 is a WrestleMania match. WrestleMania 23. Mr. Kennedy versus CM Punk versus Edge versus Finlay versus Jeff Hardy versus King Booker versus Matt Hardy versus Randy Orton. There were so many great spots that came out of this match. So many great spots. From the Super RKO from Randy Orton on to CM Punk. You had Edge getting dove onto by Jeff Hardy, almost basically dying in this match. Jeff and Matt working together, they're going up against each other. Mr. Kennedy and Finlay had some good spots. It was just a really crash course match that was ended up won by Mr. Kennedy of all people. And it's sad because he never got to get his reign because I believe he got injured midway through his run as Money in the Bank briefcase holder, and I believe that's when Edge kind of took over, and that's when the Edge Undertaker storyline started, if I remember it correctly. But man, that was a really fun match as well. And then my number 1 is Money in the Bank 2016. Dean Ambrose versus Alberto Del Rio versus Cesaro versus Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. This match is not only really, really good, had a lot of dangerous spots, a lot of cool spots, a lot of chemistry, but it was one of the best built up Money in the Bank matches ever. Like, this match had so many good lead-in segments that I was genuinely excited for this match more than any other match I could remember of that time period. Like, all the names in this match, maybe with the exception of Alberto, every name in this match could have believably won that match and nobody would have questioned it. Nobody would have questioned it. And of course, The winner of that match was Dean Ambrose. Ah, man, what a fun time. Then we segue into my top 5 favorite non-Money in the Bank matches. These are matches that happen at the pay-per-view Money in the Bank, but were not Money in the Bank matches. Starting off at number 5, I have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose from Money in the Bank 2015. A 30-minute ladder match. These two men had so many matches that year and in 2014, but one of my favorites was this ladder match. You really got the sense that these two hated each other and they would do anything to get the WWE Championship. And I believe this might have been the first Money in the Bank show where the Money in the Bank match was not the main event. I think this was like the very first one, because the Money in the Bank match, you know what? I'm correct myself. I don't think it was. But the Money in the Bank ladder match was like the first match on the show, and then everything after led up into this match. This match was a big deal. This is a big time feud back then, and he delivered on all fronts. Number 4, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles, Money in the Bank 2019. This is a match that I feel like was either announced last minute or had little to no build up to it. But by God, this was such a great match that AJ and Seth Rollins had. And we all knew they could have a great match. But, you know, I felt like AJ Styles has kind of toned down a bit since he first came in 2016. Seth Rollins, he's still really good. Even great from time to time. But, you know what I mean? I feel like his matches are kind of selective nowadays. Like, WrestleMania 37 this year against Cesaro, probably his best match in years. But you go to 2020, I don't know how many great Seth Rollins matches there exist. So I was like, it's selective with Seth Rollins. This was one of those matches that really just fired on all cylinders, and it was great. Number 3, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Money in the Bank 2016. I talked about it earlier. Great match. One of my favorite spots ever was the catching pedigree from a spear. Can't get much better than that. We're going to move things along here because I want to get to the preview. Number 2. John Cena versus Kevin Owens. Money in the Bank 2015. Kevin Owens' debut match on the roster. On the main roster, I should say. Was against John Cena. Money in the Bank. Well, it may not have been his debut match exactly, but it was his debut, like, you know, big match. And he beat John Cena. And it was, I think, one of Kevin Owens' best matches in WWE that was not Sami Zayn at Battleground 2016. It was just an impressive showing for both men. John Cena really, I would say, from 2013 onward, showed why he was the GOAT. I mean, he could wrestle. I remember for so many years, people were so much in disbelief that John Cena was a great wrestler. But when he went in there with just about any of the like guys you want to get over, he could go in there and he could sell his ass off and he can make things look good. And even though he always won in the end, he always got a match like this where shockingly he took the L. And in this show, he took the L. And it was great. And then number 1 will come as shock to nobody at all, but John Cena versus CM Punk from Money in the Bank 2011. Arguably, many fans will say the greatest wrestling match of all time. I have not seen the match in many years, so I don't know if I could say the greatest match of all time. I mean, there's many other GOATs out there, but it is definitely top 10, maybe even top 5. I have to rewatch it again, though, to really say if it's top 5 or not, but definitely top 10 GOATs of all time. Money in the Bank 2021 is this Sunday, and we are finally getting to the preview section of the podcast. But before we do that, one more swig of water. And just a reminder, if you guys have not already, hit the like button. Let's get this video to 20 likes. And if you're watching elsewhere, like Podbean or Spotify or Apple or Google Podcasts, rate it 5 stars and comment why you love it so much. AJ Styles and Omos defend the Raw Tag Team Championships against the Viking Raiders. I realized they were gone for a long time, and I have no idea why. So happy to see them back. I'm going to say they don't win the championships. I think AJ and Omos retain. Rhea Ripley defends the Raw Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. Talk about an overdone feud, bro. This feud was so fresh back when it first happened last year. I feel like I've heard and seen this match happen like 8 different times now. 8 different times. And it's probably an accurate number too. I really don't care for this feud. And it sucks to say because I do like Rhea Ripley. But Charlotte Flair, she's probably going to win it. Let's be real here. It's Charlotte Flair. It's for the championship. I think Charlotte Flair wins the championship. Money in the Bank ladder match. The women's portion. We have Natalya versus Liv Morgan versus Nikki Ash. Her name is no longer Nikki Cross, now Nikki Ash. Almost superhero. Naomi versus Asuka versus Zelina Vega versus Alexa Bliss. This is tough because I don't watch the product enough to really know who has the... without watching the product enough, probably Alexa Bliss. Because Alexa Bliss gets pushed every week. Main segments. Despite there being no Fiend, she is still portraying the same character in main event segments every week. So you know what? It's probably going to be Alexa Bliss again. And I say again because she won the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2019, if I'm correct. 2019 and 2018. Cast in the same night and won. So probably be Alexa Bliss. If I can't say Alexa, I'm going to be ballsy and say Zelina Vega. Because why not? Praying for a Naomi win, though. Praying for a Naomi win. But I'm going to say my core pick is Alexa Bliss. Then we get into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Kevin Owens versus Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus a Biggie. I don't know why I said Biggie, but leave me alone. Versus Matt Riddle versus John Morrison versus Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. A lot of big names in here. I don't want to say this is anybody's game because some more than others. I think Shinsuke is definitely the least beneficiary of guys in this match. But there's a lot of names in here that I'm like, okay, Kevin Owens, possibly, he's been out there for a minute. Big E's the guy here they've been wanting to push, so maybe Big E. Matt Riddle. They've been treating Matt Riddle very well since he got called up to main roster, so it could be Matt Riddle. Might be advancing the storyline Randy Orton or something like that. But then the last two guys, Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. Those are like tied for who I think will win. Drew McIntyre has been in the WWE Championship picture since last WrestleMania. He has not dipped out of it since. Now, he's not in a championship match this pay-per-view, but he's in a match that can lead to another championship match. Should he win and possibly face Bobby Lashley again? I don't think so. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has been out of the WWE Championship mix for, I would say, about 2-3 years now? He hasn't been the Universal or WWE Champion? I think maybe now it's time to put him back in that main event scene. We're going back to crowds very soon. What if we see Seth Rollins cash in Roman Reigns? How about that? Imagine Seth Rollins cashing in Roman Reigns and then it's unsuccessful. No. Take it back. I take it back. Because this company does a really great job of making the Money in the Bank concept dog shit by doing unsuccessful cash-ins every year. 2017 when Baron Corbin won, unsuccessful. 2018 when Braun Strowman won, unsuccessful. 2019 when Brock Lesnar won, successful, but a waste. A big old waste. Alexa Bliss won 2019. She cashed in the same night. A waste. 2020, Asuka won. She didn't cash in. There was a Money in the Bank. There was a Raw Women's Championship in there because Becky was pregnant. Cool moment, but a waste. Otis won. Then Otis lost. Then The Miz won. A waste because The Miz was only champion for 3 weeks. The concept of Money in the Bank has not meant any less than it does right now. And a way to get it back on track would be to have successful cash-ins. And it should start this year. I think Seth Rollins wins. And I said originally that he will lose Roman Reigns. But if he can't beat Roman, maybe go to Raw and beat Bobby Lashley. Or wait until it's time for Roman Reigns to lose. I don't think now is the time. Let's say, I don't know, Survivor Series, something like that. Seth Rollins cashes in, beats Roman Reigns. Maybe he loses it back to Roman Reigns like a month later. I don't know, but I think Seth Rollins is that guy. I think he's that guy this year. I think it's Seth Rollins this year as the Money in the Bank winner. I don't think he's going to be top guy this year, but as MITB winner. Then we get to the 2 top matches on the show. Bobby Lashely versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. It excites me that we have 2 black men contending for the WWE Championship. It really does. Kofi Kingston finally getting his championship rematch after 2 years. Is it his time? No, it is not. His time passed him by, sadly. Bobby Lashley retains. Then the main event of the evening. Roman Reigns defends the Universal Championship against Edge, which should have been the original match for WrestleMania 37, is now happening at Money in the Bank singles match. Is it Edge's time? No. It was not Edge's time WrestleMania. It's not Edge's time now. Roman Reigns has a warm body being fed to him right now in the, basically, I would say, one of the pioneers of getting the spear over. I think Edge is going to take the L to Roman. Possibly Seth Rollins seizes a cash in here. Or maybe Drew wins and cashes in a Roman here. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm going to say that Roman Reigns retains the Universal Championship. I asked a few questions to you guys. And you guys gave me some answers. And here's what you asked. Thoughts on the whole TBSI situation? Doing what they did on YouTube, but this time on Twitter. Now blocking accounts with their NJPW World account. Censoring people like you for using NJPW content. What is your take on this? Antonio Correa asked. Well, Antonio, if you're new here, then I was one of the people who got nuked by TV Asahi last year. Actually, we're coming up on a whole year last year when I got nuked by TV Asahi. And I'll tell you what, it was not very fun having a fight to get my channel back, but I got it back. I was determined I got it back. Twitter accounts being blocked, that is like the least of people's concerns. Like, if you get blocked by NJPW World, it is not the end of the world, because literally all you can do is make a new account and go follow them again. Or guess what? You can follow NJPW 1972 and you will get better updates than you would on NJPW World's Twitter account. Them blocking people, I think that is petty as hell that they're blocking people. I'm blocked by NJPW World, but I think that's funny. Like, I'm not crying over it. I honestly don't give a shit, to be honest, anymore. But them blocking fans, that's really petty. They might actually lose some fucking fans over that shit, because that's real fucking petty. But you know what? That's on them. They're acting stupid. They don't get copyrights in America. Actually, they probably do. They just don't fucking care, because they have copyright in their own company. They don't get the American audience. That's on them. That's on them at this point. Wei Liang Long. Who do you think is the mystery participant in the 5-star Grand Prix? I have a video coming up. A 5-star Grand Prix primer coming up in 2 weeks. Wait until then to know who I think it's going to be. Can you do more commentary videos like the one you did for SLK? So I did a YouTube short, which was a commentary for Stardom. I want to do more commentaries for Stardom. My only thing is that Stardom is owned by Bushiroad. Bushiroad owns New Japan. And I've gotten a copyright strike once upon a time from Bushiroad. So doing multiple Stardom videos is actually pushing it, to be honest. I'm very much testing waters with Stardom right now. Pre-Bushiroad, I would have said yes. But with Bushiroad, I don't know if it's a smart idea. But right now, we'll see. We'll see. Do you like Danhausen? I don't really know Danhausen enough to like him. Juggernaut097. Talk about the Malachi Black signing. I mean, I'm excited. I'm very excited to see Malachi Black in AEW. I'm shocked that he had a 30-day non-compete from NXT and he never adjusted it, which is how he got in so fast. I had a question on one of my videos last week asking about why I was so afraid that he's facing Cody Rhodes. Listen, Cody Rhodes has a really bad track record for beating newer talent. Look at all the new guys that came into AEW. How many of them faced Cody Rhodes? And how many of them actually beat Cody Rhodes? Not many. You can name 3 off the top of your head. Chris Jericho, MJF, Brody Lee. Brody Lee he beat Cody Lee. He beat Brody Lee in the end, so I don't even count him. So only MJF and Chris Jericho have beaten Cody and not gotten a win back. Even if Malachi Black beat Cody in the first match, which he probably will, they will have a match in the future where Cody will likely beat Malachi Black. Which is why I'm like, I was not happy that he's facing Cody Rhodes in his first feud. I mean, what is even a story there? Why does he choose Cody? Like, why do these people hate Cody so much? Y'all ever notice that? Everybody hates Cody. Pentagon hates Cody. QT hates Cody. Lance Archer hates Cody. My mom hates Cody. She doesn't even know fucking Cody Rhodes. Everybody hates Cody. You guys know the song? Everybody hates Chris. Replace it with fucking Cody Rhodes, bro. Because that's how I feel watching AEW every single week. I don't get it. He just needs to have these feuds. That makes no sense to me. But I'm still excited about the signing. Future AEW champion in the making. But then I lead into Mason Rollinson's question. Because Malachi Black debuted on the same show that Andrade wrestled. And we've been hearing these reports repeatedly from Dave Meltzer. There's a bigger signing coming, bigger than Andrade. And Mason Rollinson asked me, who do you think could be the AEW signing bigger than Andrade? Honestly, Mason, I don't know. And I really want to be surprised. You know, I could sit here and speculate all day. Oh, it's Daniel Bryan. People out here are really seriously trying to wish CM Punk into existence. Please give up. CM Punk has not. It's been 7 years, bro. Give up. He's not coming back. Move on, please. Like, I'm so tired of seeing CM Punk. How would you feel about CM Punk coming in? He's not. If he does, I'll pop very, very heavy. Y'all might see me full blown just have to change my jeans on live if it comes to a live stream. But guess what? I'm not hoping and praying for it. Because it's been 7 years. What is he going to offer to me in 7 years' time at 44 years old? What is he going to offer to me? CM Punk. Exactly. He's going to do the same stick they did in 2011, possibly. And it'll be great. But it's like, what? Like, there's so much great talent in AEW right now. There's so much great talent in DC. People are clamoring for a CM Punk return. This is so funny to me. Honestly, this bigger signing, I'm going to, if I had to throw a name out there, Bryan Danielson. But I'm not betting on Bryan Danielson. Honestly and truly, Daniel Bryan will likely come back to WWE. If he goes to AEW, I will be on the floor. And I will be supremely excited for what's to come with AEW. And I'm just gonna say, just for the sake of this video, that it's Bryan Danielson, but I really don't think it's Bryan Danielson. Honestly, I don't know who it is. I'm just here for the ride, bro. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to read rumors. It's fun to fantasy book from time to time. I think it's just fun to sit back and just, you know, be in for the ride and see what happens. I trust AEW like that. I don't trust Raw or SmackDown like that. They've had too many opportunities and squandered all of it. I have that trust with AEW that they won't fuck me over in the end. So I trust that AEW. Now, mind you, Dave Meltzer said this. So that's also why I'm like, I'm going to wait and see. Because Dave Meltzer, he's hot shotty from time to time. But I'm just in for the ride right now. I'm just here to be a fan right now. I just have a podcast, but at the end of the day, I'm a fan. That's how I see it. And guys, that was Chills for Podcast episode 56. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Let your boy know. I will see you guys next week for the big episode 57, where we will review Raw and SmackDown. Peace out, guys.